Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I stayed kind of quiet after the end of this movie. I just kind of sat there with the credits going, like, wow, Monkey Man is Dev Patel's directorial debut. He's been a great actor in many movies that we've seen, and he's also been someone who has been marketing for this movie, and he went through a lot for this one, apparently. He apparently got injured a lot on set frequently. He did a lot of his own stunts, and on top of that, there were times where he had to actually shoot this movie with his iPhone because apparently there were moments where they couldn't get their cameras on set. That's just what I've read online. But that's so cool because I think this movie came out to be very excellent in my opinion. And it is a unique action-driven, bloody revenge tale that I really did not expect. This movie, I really didn't know what I was going to get from it. A lot of the comparisons online were comparing it to like just basically another John Wick clone, and I feel like comparing this movie to John Wick does undercut it because I feel like it's a lot more harsher and brutal with its themes and what it wants to explore with its character than John Wick. Even though the story, to its core, it does sound like it could be a John Wick clone. The idea that someone snaps and it's because they want to get revenge because of something someone did to them and their loved one, yes, that is kind of like John Wick. However, this movie takes a much darker approach into the trauma of the character and what he went through and what led him on this quest of revenge in this bloody tale. And the way this movie presents its action is so unique, and I will say it does get a lot of flack online. I've seen the reviews talking about how the shaky cam is apparent, and I do agree. There's a lot of shaky cam in this movie, and shaky cam can be very annoying in film. However, I would argue that when it's done well and when it's done for an effect that works, I think it can be handled in a really cool and unique way, and I do think Monkey Man is an example of that. I think the shaky cam here created this kind of like almost Safdie Brothers effect for me, where it made me feel like I was claustrophobic with the characters, and it added a sense of tension to the movie that I felt like the movie was gripping onto me. I felt like I could never let go and release that tension, but in a way that worked to an effect of the film and how you're feeling when you're following this character. And I thought that was also well done with how it cut with the close-ups. There's so many close-ups in this movie that work to really isolate us with the character and what they're feeling in the moment. Maybe sometimes it was for a set reason, but at the end of the day, it did add to the effect of the movie, so for better or worse, I thought it added for the better, personally. I do get the complaint, though. I think Monkey Man, in terms of action, is one of those action movies where you could see someone really not liking it for how it's directed or really loving it. I'm one of the people that fall in the camp of really loving it, personally, because I just thought it added a unique flavor to this movie, and it's more realistic and gritty in that sense, where it differentiates itself from something like a John Wick, which presents its action in a more fantastical light. Not to say this movie doesn't have moments like that, but I do think that this movie, overall, isn't as much like John Wick because of how harsh it is and how it presents not only its action, but how it presents its character trauma, because the way Dev Patel explores this main character is really fascinating. I really enjoyed the parts in this movie where we explored this character's trauma and what he went through, because it just added a layer of this movie that made it feel more realistic, more grounded in actual historical trauma with another culture, and I really appreciated the fact that this movie did that, and it made it feel deeper than just an action revenge tale. I was actually really invested in the culture this movie explores, and the way the character goes through that, and what it does for him, and how he builds this essentially legend for himself as a hero in this world. And I thought this movie did a good job at exploring something like that without feeling like it was going too fantastical, or feeling like it was taking me out of the movie to where I couldn't grab on to anything tangible in terms of the idea of just this character wanting a clean, mean revenge. But coming back to the action, I think, just as an action fan, you're going to be very satisfied. There's some great fight sequences in this movie where you feel the impact of what's going on. There are moments where I honestly felt like I had to look away from the screen. And that doesn't just go for action as well. Like I said, the action is fantastic. But there are harsh moments in this movie that I do think audiences should be aware of when they go into it. There are moments of SA in this movie. There is sexual assault. There are moments that show what certain characters experienced, and that is hard to watch. This movie is full of moments like that, to where I think if you are sensitive to that and you have trouble seeing something like that, and if you have to step away or look away for a moment, it's not too negative of the movie, but I can understand what you're doing, because there are moments I had to look away too. I do think you should be aware of that going in. This movie is not always easy to watch. It's a rather hard watch at times, in an effective way, but still hard to watch. And I also thought the music was super effective, and it added a lot to the action sequences in this film as well. There's one particular emotional piece of music that plays during the third act that really stuck with me, and it just added this sense of epic aura around what was going on in terms of the slaughter I was witnessing in the movie. I will say that this movie does have some negatives, and I'll get into that, and there's nothing that really broke the movie for me, but it is there. I think the second villain in this movie, the secondary antagonist, is a little uninteresting. He's rather boring and how he is. His presence overall in the movie just isn't that intimidating, and he's kind of forgetful in the moment. The main antagonist, the main dude that the main hero, Dev Patel's character, is after, I totally get that, and I think there's enough motivation there alone. However, the secondary villain, he's kind of there to just represent the power structure that put our main character in the position he's in now, and the people like his mother. But I will say that he works in that sense. However, the motivation behind the main character going after him, I totally got, and that was enough for me. It is something that I wanted to point out, though. The secondary antagonist in this is kind of underdeveloped at times. But overall, I was able to forgive it. The main character's quest and his journey and what he was experiencing and how he was overcoming his trauma was much more fascinating. In conclusion, though, Monkey Man was a unique, bloody revenge tale that really kept me on my toes, and it stuck with me at the end. This is a deeper movie than just a simple beat-em-up action movie. While that beat-em-up action is great, it's there, and it is apparent, it's in your face, it's claustrophobic, it really is impactful. It has some of the best action I've seen all year, easily. I do think this movie is deeper at its center with its characters, and I do appreciate it for that as well, and I can't wait to see what Dev Patel does next. I think Monkey Man is a very unique vision, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I love this movie. Definitely one of my favorites of the year, but I get both sides on this. I can see someone really not liking it, but I personally, it really worked for me. I love the style, I love the action, I love the character. All in all, just a great movie. One of my favorites of the year. Monkey Man was fantastic. What did you guys think? Have you seen it yet? I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you for watching Skyderbrain Reviews. I'll see you next time.